even amid the shortages, the poverty, the blackouts, and the difficult times Cuba is going through, the show must go on in the festivity of Las Parrandas. It's an event that's part of the fabric of Cuba, taking place in the central area of the island nation and bringing people together in a nighttime celebration. Las Parrandas pits one community against another. They each work throughout the year to prepare floats, costumes, lanterns, and fireworks that light up the evening sky. It takes extra time and effort to prepare some of the displays without power tools. Electricity is unreliable here, so a lot of the sawing and construction have to be done by hand. And some of the materials are sent here by people who've moved abroad and made sacrifices to ship supplies back home for Las Parrandas. But the result is a nostalgic display of color and culture in a competition that dates back more than 200 years. Hi, I'm Azuz. It's great to see you this Tuesday as we kick off a new edition of The World from A to Z. The explosive spread of fire ants in Australia may be an unexpected and certainly unwelcome side effect of Cyclone Alfred, which hit the eastern coast of the country earlier this month. That brought a lot of rain to the region, and fire ants are able to survive that by moving to the surface, joining their legs together to form rafts, and floating wherever the water takes them. They can live like this for weeks, and that allows them to spread to places where they weren't seen before. It's not a new problem for the Australian state of Queensland, but it's a growing one that could threaten other parts of the country. A state government has promised to spend the equivalent of $15 million to try to keep the invasive insects under control. They're dangerous to pets, livestock, and humans. Their stings have triggered bad reactions in dozens of people, reportedly sending at least 23 of them to the hospital this month. Some critics are concerned that Australia will have to do much more to eradicate the pest. Fire ants are native to South America, but have spread to several other continents over the past 100 years.
Where in the world? You'll find this nation between Ethiopia and the Indian Ocean. It's a predominantly Muslim country that forms part of the Horn of Africa. Its capital is Mogadishu. This is Somalia, a war-torn republic whose struggles include widespread poverty and terrorism.
This is just another day on the job for Somalia's Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit, as they tackle the deadly legacy of 3 decades of civil war.
Our work is very risky because we detonate or dismantle mines. These are handmade or factory-processed ones that didn't explode, but might still if touched.
The unit's task is dangerous. Safely detonate explosives to prevent them from accidentally exploding and injuring or killing someone. But sometimes even controlled detonation can go terribly wrong.
When you die while dismantling a mine, it's very tragic to us when this happens.
Somalia has been grappling with conflict for 3 decades, an ongoing civil war leaving an estimated 1 million mines and explosives strewn across the country. Reports say such ordnance has killed or injured more than 1,700 people. The civil war is between the Somali military, the Islamist armed group Al-Shabaab, and several other rebel groups. During training exercises, officers practice dismantling explosives attached to vehicles, simulating real-world scenarios they frequently encounter. The bomb squad also employs dogs, who use their superior sense of smell to sniff out explosives. The squad's dog trainer Hussein Ahmed says he sometimes faces being shamed about his work, because dogs are considered unclean in Islam, the official religion of Somalia. But he and the rest of the bomb squad know they are doing an important job.
We fear and feel like we are risking our lives, but we work carefully together, knowing that we're saving the lives of our citizens.
Is it constitutional? The 19th Amendment was the first to address the voting rights of citizens. True or false? This is false. The 19th Amendment granted women the right to vote, but the 15th Amendment protected male citizens' voting rights regardless of race, color, or previous condition of servitude. On this date in world history, March 25, 1965 was when civil rights activists completed a historic march from Selma, Alabama to the state capitol in Montgomery. The event, led by Martin Luther King Jr., was part of a series of protests against poll taxes and literacy tests, which had impeded the voting rights of African Americans and some other groups in the region. The federal government passed the Voting Rights Act of 1965 less than 5 months after the march. March 25, 1911 was the date of an industrial tragedy in New York City. A fire that started at the Triangle Shirtwaist Company killed 146 workers, and many of the deaths would have been prevented by safety measures like unlocked doors and a sprinkler system. The fire brought attention to sweatshop conditions in factories and led to new worker protections. And this was the date in 1655 when Dutch astronomer Christian Huygens discovered a moon of another planet. That moon is Titan, the planet is Saturn, and as he continued to study it with his advanced equipment, Huygens later identified the shape of Saturn's rings.
World in outage. A British journalist and technologist named Ben Hammersley coined what word in 2004? Podcast, phishing, unblock, cryptocurrency. While writing an article, Hammersley invented a portmanteau of the words iPod and broadcast to create podcast.
Hola. Mi nombre es Alberto.
97-year-old Alberto Chav was tired of being lonely. His granddaughter posting his video on social media, calling for others over the age of 90 to unite and share their life experiences. The response? Huge.
Ese videíto produjo un tsunami.
That little video created a tsunami. 1,500 emails. I mean, there was a very real need for people, for seniors, to get together and talk to each other. I touched on a very necessary point, which is why people from all over Latin America wrote to me, even from Canada.
Now Chav meets with his team every 2 weeks in Buenos Aires to toss around topics.
Simplemente que digan todo.
Just say everything that comes to mind. It's never going to be absurd, because whatever happens to one of us, having a car crash or going to the eye doctor, a similar situation will arise for the other.
His group catching the attention of someone much younger, a 26-year-old journalist with a podcast vision.
I said to Alberto and the people who were there, this has to be done digitally. For me, we have to make a podcast.
They decided to call it 90 and Counting. Season 1 is already done. The topics range from tango to healthy habits to affection and ways of connecting. A second season is already in the works.
Well, I'm still learning at 97. I still have so much to learn.
North, south, and east are the 3 directions on our compass today. To the students of Mr. Shriver's class, we see you at Big Lake High School in Minnesota. The Hornets are buzzing in the city of Big Lake in the land of 10,000 of them. Next are Mrs. Dean's students from Madison County High School. It's great to have the Tigers with us from Gurley, Alabama, the Yellowhammer State. And Mrs. Cooper's class is also watching. Hello to the Eagles of Benjamin Franklin Middle School. The town of Rocky Mount is in the Old Dominion of Virginia. Gustave and Léon are 2 not-so-little piggies who've made a house a home in France. Their owner, who thankfully for them is vegan, feeds the pigs, walks them, trains them, and lets them stay inside, though she has 4 others that stay in the backyard. Gustave gets extra special treatment. He's allowed to go to work at the university lab where his owner's employed, and at least one of the other humans there says the pig's kind of like a mascot. Plus, if someone there's accused of being a ham or too pig-headed, rooting too loudly, distractive snorting, making bad points, being a poor sign for the workplace, pigging out at lunch, not bringing home the bacon, wallowing in self-pity, giving others a pork bellyful, or generally making pork choices, they'll know which one's the biggest offender. I'm Carl Azuz from The World from A to Z. Thanks for putting up with the puns. You mean the world to me.